talking compounds, we take a step back and kind of think, we all know that clay removes above surface contaminants. Compound removes, below surface defects that are within the paint, swirls, scratches, stains. We know this. A lot of different people use compounds, whether you're an enthusiast or a DIY or a body shop. So on that thing, I kind of like to use this when you're talking on the development side of things. Each kind of characteristic of the compound, on the development side, we talked about this a little bit before, we could adjust all these things for its intended application use, whether it's a consumer or somebody in the pro. Again, like we talked, the D300 is designed specific for the microfiber pad. So we always like to talk about this. This is why we have a lot of different compounds. These are just some examples of ways we can fine tune sort of the dials on the equalizer of the compound. There's a lot. What's it going to be applied with as far as machine? What type of pad? There's benefits to short cycles. We can make it short cycle. What's the paint that it's going to be applied to, or even a gel coat? How important is the ease of wipe off? A lot of different things, low RPM, the feel, the color consistency. So that's why we have a lot of different compounds, is because they are, they are all were designed for a very specific application in their market. 105 Ultra Cut compound really changed the game as far as the amount of cut that you can get at the time when it was released, as well as the finish. Before 110, this was considered our most premium and universal compound that we make. Premium as far as the amount of cut and the finish. Universal as far as application. You can use it by hand, DA, rotary. You can use it on fresh paint. You can use it on factory cured OEM paint, single stage paint. Foam cut compound, M101 foam cut compound, was literally developed on the fly in Europe for high solids European OEM factory paints. This was really kind of a system along with a very particular foam cutting pad on a rotary. Over in Europe, they think we're crazy when you repaint a whole panel. They will go in and just do little spot sanding and spot repairs. Partial panels, much shorter cycles. So rotary foam cutting pad was its original design intent, but as enthusiasts and detailers, we all know that if Meguiar's comes out with something, I don't care what it says on the bottle, I'm going to try it anyways on a DA or whatever pad I want. And we got so much demand for the foam cut compound, we literally brought it to the US because there were guys that were paying $75 a quart just to get it here. Even though it wasn't designed for that, it happens to work very well.
So I found, I'm a huge fan of 101.
Yep.
I'm not a huge fan of 105. Now 101 is solvent based, correct?
Yeah.
105 is water based. So you can smell it. It
Yep.
feels like you're killing yourself when you're using 101. I
It's
feel like I
strong.
need a full body suit. But it but it works. I mean, it cuts. Am I mistaken in that I feel like 101 is much more aggressive cutting than 105?
It's a significant step above in cut, even though they're both rated at 12. Especially on a DA, it's still.
Think about it was made to replace people using wool in body shops.
Yep.
This was very much a body shop collision item. It was a special request based on regional use. So if you're going to use foam to cut out sanding grip, you need a very aggressive compound to up the cut of that foam, right?
Yeah.
So that is why you'll find that the abrasive load, the sheer amount of abrasive loaded in 101 is nuts. That's why you'll get a decent amount of dust, depending on how long you cycle it. It's removing a ton of paint, and it's got a lot of abrasive left over.
So talk to me about diminishing SMAT. I don't know if you have a slide coming up on that, but since we're on this topic,
Yeah.
get me straight on this here. These are both non-diminishing, correct?
Yeah. 105 was really kind of an industry first game changer, which brought the term SMAT.
Tell me what SMAT is.
Super micro abrasive technology.
Okay.
So if you were to draw it out, I don't know if you want to move the camera, but basically if you think of a traditional abrasive, and let's just say that you've got these bigger abrasives, and you've kind of talked about this a little bit with Jason and stuff. These can kind of somewhat break down over time, but they can clump together. They can do a lot of different things. What we've done is found and you can have a variation too in the size, which if you think back to old school and how long you've been polishing, a lot of times one of the issues people would have is how long you worked a compound or a polish pre-SMAT really determined your finish. Because if you didn't work it enough or you worked it too much, where it started to re-clump together, you would get little like ticks and tracers. Mm-hmm. And so when we introduced 105, there's a detailer by the name of Joe Fernandez. He's very well known.
Joe, yeah.
I remember him posting on MOL, like, you're gonna put me out of business, and he was dead serious. Like, you're making this too easy, like you're literally gonna put professional detailers out of business. Now, obviously it kind of went the other direction. This fueled, I would argue that M105 and M205, about 10 years ago, I think was one of the key things that's happened in the detailing industry to bring in a new set of users and make it available to someone like yourself, an enthusiast, to be able to get professional grade results on their own. Now you put that in the hands of a pro, they'll take it to the next level entirely, right? The what's possible keeps going better. So when you go to SMAT, just think smaller, sharp, very precise, and not intended to be significantly broken down in size. Instead, it's death by 1,000 cuts. They're very consistent, and the bell curve of what size, it's extremely tight, the variation amount between particles. And this is a higher grade design. Meguiar's worked with a supplier to get a unique abrasive designed for our compounds, and that was what really made SMAT a thing.
So with SMAT, this is why pressure, passes, how many cycles, you have more control.
Yeah.
Than a diminishing compound. I've got to make a certain amount of passes. I've got to, and it's going to work on a certain type of paint. So in my mind, if I'm using diminishing polishes, I've got to find the right polish or the right paint.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, and this is the whole Kevin Brown methodology, is you take the product and you change so the product stays the same, but the variables,
the speed, the pressure,
do I add a wetting? Do I add water? What do I make a single quick pass with no pressure? Yeah. So I could do different things.
It really changed the process and the options when you're working, doing paint correction compared to with that. I mean, you had a cycle that you kind of had to follow, and you had less flexibility to what you're speaking about when you were using that. That's why you're just seeing the industry has moved all the higher end stuff. Now they're more expensive, they're more difficult to manufacture, all that. And the tighter the bell curve, significantly more expensive it gets to filter out when you're talking that size of the particle. And then to get that into your emulsion and everything else, it's there's a lot.
So 110 is the same SMAT, but with
so to back up, so 105, 205, that's introduction of SMAT, through Meguiar's, right?
Yep.
That found its way into a few products. 101's one of them. We also have another product called M86, and now here we are, 10 years later. 110 is from the ground up a unique chemistry. Everything about that product is based on what we've learned with those, but it's a new type of abrasive, higher quality, higher grade, unique to the product. It is not the same abrasive that is in the other products. And the rest of the juice, the cake batter that is holding those abrasives, also completely from the ground up different. You said you don't like 105. A lot of people, if you're not using and you're not used to a particular method and water and all that stuff, 105 is just something that people don't like.
Yeah, I just found it unnecessary to work that freaking hard when I can go get something that has a little more oil in it. I don't have to work so hard at it. The issue I have with 105 is dusting and clumping.
Yes.
Right? It clumps up my pads. I'm constantly having to get my pad reactivated.
And there's techniques to work with that. Some
Right,
people
right.
like it. you
Right,
know,
and I
but-
get that, and I'm certain that if I was interested, if I wanted to focus on that, that I could become an expert with 105.
Right.
Just,
Yeah.
I don't want to.
You got better things to do with your time.
Exactly.
Yep.
So that's 110, right?
Yeah.
So
So
Now-
110 solves a lot of those problems.
here's the other thing: mirror glaze, one detailer product. You know, that was made in the detailer line. Now, those did you talk really about the separation of those lines? What that means, kind of who they serve?
Yeah, well, we talked about like D300 is part of a system,
Right.
where these other mirror glaze are part of a, at least I'm hearing it as more of a, you build your own system.
Yeah, and the other thing is mirror glaze primarily is built to serve collision and refinishing rather than reconditioning. As a detailer, I want to make a product that when I go out into my garage at home, if I'm going to enjoy my Saturday working on my car, I don't want to fight a product. That was the genesis for how that was built. And so we scrapped that other one. We took a 30-day breather so that the chemist would talk to me again. And then we sat down on the drawing board and started from scratch. And that was about a 2-year development. And I really like where that went. The other thing that's very unique about this, you'll notice the other mirror glaze, they were originally designed as rotary products. This was designed from day one. We did testing side by side, rotary and DA, not just rotary. And then it happens to work on DA. And you'd be amazed how there are some products out there that say they're rotary only. You put that on a DA, your results are horrible. Like a super heavy cut rotary compound could take you 3 times longer, even though it would cut faster than maybe 110 on rotary wool. If you go put that on a DA, it'll take you 3 times longer and you still won't get the results that you would with 110. There's that much engineering there that went into that.
What's your take on 101 versus 110?
So 101 is going to be a little bit more aggressive, but it's going to be a little bit closer, plus water-based, solvent-based.
Yeah.
If you want to avoid the respirator, which I would recommend
Right.
for dust reasons too. But this is just this is a lot easier to work with. They each trust me, those are like 2 products I'm going to keep with me in my detail bag, right? That's just something I'm going to do my day-to-day living with.
Like I'm certainly, I'm going to add 101 to my process line.
Yeah.
I need something more aggressive than I'm using a Jescar correction compound.
Yeah.
Was the product that I've been using. How does 101 and 100, what do you equate those to? Like how do you consider those? Now I'm using all of these in microfiber.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we're all using them on.
Yeah,
But it
and
says-
So
yeah,
none of them are
and
designed
that's-
for that, but that's what we're using.
I know, and
Yeah.
that's the thing is that 100 on the label, it says rotary wool pad. It really had a very specific application it was going after. It's another example of a product that happens to work very well on a microfiber pad or foam on a DA.
I find myself
yeah.
using 101 much more than 100. Why?
Because you like premium things.
I don't know.
100, I would say, for the average user, they're going to more normally use 100, and then 101's the big gun, the secret weapon that they bring out when they.
Yeah.
Like, I was working on a car, a Porsche 964. For the life of me, nothing would work on the bumpers.
That's what
The
happened.
rest of the car, no problem,
Yeah.
right? I had to switch to a solvent-based compound, or I couldn't wipe it off.
Same thing happened on the roof of my E92 M3.
Yeah.
I'm trying everything.
Drove me nuts.
Making more passes, less passes,
Right.
trying different pads, and I finally just screw it. I got the 101,
Boom.
done.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I had an aha moment. I called Derek Bemis. I'm like, dude, I'm done. Like, why? And he's like, have you tried 101? And I was like, no, I should. So I pulled it out and literally first shot, no problem, worked like a dream, and I was done in 30 minutes. But so that's like I think of that as more of a specialist tool, whereas 100 is something that a lot of people just use day in and out. But a lot of the detailers that I talk with directly, they've rotated over to 110 just because you can achieve a much better finish.
That's the big thing about the 110 compared.
finish.
Even though these happen
Like a black car,
yeah.
less haze, finishes
Yeah.
down better.
I mean, there are people literally sending cars to Pebble Beach, black cars, no polish. They're literally finishing out with
And these are all SMAT.
These are all SMAT abrasives. Yeah.
But different.
None of them are diminishing.
No. But even with a SMAT abrasive, there is a process, and you still need to work the product. There's other things that change in the chemistry, the
right.
emulsion, all these things. You still, if you shoot 5-second short cycle that, you're not going to get the result that you get. You'll get a worse finish. You'll go backwards on finish than if you properly work
So
it through.
say that again, super micro abrasive technologies.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is our newest, latest, greatest type of SMAT. Think of SMAT as like saying sports car, right? But this is a specific sports car, different type of a SMAT than the SMATs in those. It is a higher grade, more advanced SMAT. Plus the wipe off and everything. 9 out of 10 times you should not be getting dusting if you're using 110 and 210. It should be an easy wipe off. If you are, you're fighting either a bizarre sticky paint, you've got a polymer load or something that you should have removed first, not enough product. There's some things you can tweak in your...
You left to top off your bottle overnight or something stupid, right.
Yeah. But generally speaking, that actually feels a lot more like a polish. It finishes a lot more like a polish. It was built a lot more like a polish in a lot of ways. So that's something that's literally what I use. I don't use 100 or 105 basically ever anymore, personally.
So in your cabinet, you would have 101
and 110. I
maybe
keep 100. I keep 100 because there's, how it is with detailing, right? There's that random card. But the extreme majority of what I'm going through is 110. That's my cup of tea. Now, the other thing that this has enabled me to do is where I would have had to have used a microfiber cutting pad in the past to do cutting. Let's say on OEM cured paint, you're taking out swirls, that kind of a detail. There are some really good foams out there that allow you to use a long throw, a 15 or a 21, paired with that on foam, and achieve all that cut that you need and still finish out like a dream.
So from an aggression level, it's 101 most aggressive,
Yeah.
then 100 give or take a few percent.
100 and 110 and 105 are all very similar, and depending on the paint
Yeah.
you work on, one might cut more than the other,
Yeah.
but you should get very similar. They're going to be within 10 or so percent of
Okay.
each other. It's
And
not
then
about
101's going to give you that extra 20%, depending on the paint.
especially on those funky paints where you need that.
And then
solid.
D300 is going to be the least aggressive of all of these.
Yes. But it's very unique, and have you learned how you can follow up on top of it without wiping it off? That method?
Yes. Mhm.
I mean, that's obviously it's not normal, like enthusiast grade stuff, but
Yeah, I mean that kind of stuff hurts my head, and that like the only way to do
That's-
that is you just lots and lots of thousands and thousands of hours of trial and error, and have an open mind to say, well, I take the pad, I blow it out, and I do one cycle. Like, how are you freaking supposed to know that that's gonna, unless you've tried it?
that one, though, is actually I would say this system, the way it was designed, it was originally 2 juices, 2 pads, right? You've got your cutting microfiber, which has the pinkish maroon that matches the pinkish color of the compound. Imagine you compound the car and don't wipe it off to check your work. Do a test spot, make sure it's working. But in a production environment, you do the whole car. Think how much time you save not putting your machine down and doing that, right?
Yeah.
Then you come over it with the D301, which is a finishing wax. Polish and wax built in one. It is specifically meant to make the wipe off easy. It's amazing what you can do on a cured paint doing that and not having to wipe off the compound. So just built to be a system.
And that's the argument for using a non-diminishing technology. You have more control.
Yeah.
Like, because if you're using a diminishing polish, and I start here with lots of product, and then I end here, and then I try to short cycle afterward, you just don't have as much control. You don't know what, you could have more cut on this side of the panel than on that side of the panel. So this allows you the ability to just have more control over
And
the
changing
outcome.
pressure on a pad, theoretically, you have a higher risk with a DAT that you maybe have abrasives that were up in a crevice, if it's a spider cut pad or a wool pad or microfiber, and you're reintroducing. I mean, there's just more variables to worry about with DAT.
Okay, I got the compounds. Is this the only
Yep.
compounds? 1, 2, 3,
We have 6 more slides. Oh, no. Yeah.
These are the latest matte abrasive compounds.
These are the ones that you would
These
need
are the
to know
ones,
about.
these
I
are-
want to know them all. I want to know all.
Okay, we got those too.
Alright.
We got those too. These are the latest finishing polishes. So 205 Ultra Finishing Polish, 210 Ultra Pro Finishing Polish. Obviously, anytime, even though we're talking about cut and the ability of these compounds to finish out very well and swirl and minimal swirls and minimal DA haze, we all know that you're going to want a finish polishing step to further refine that paint. These are going to remove your DA haze, remove any swirling if you're using primarily like a rotary, leaving swirls behind, really bring up a high gloss. 205's been out for many years. 105, 205, we've all heard that. I mean, it's a go-to finishing polishing. Before 210, this was our most premium finishing polish that we had. Now, granted, 205, when you got into some more softer, more sensitive is a better word, paints, there were times where you had to use a very specific technique to get it to finish completely haze free. With 205, a very particular pressure working area, pad, and most importantly probably the amount of product and abrasive in the pad. Anytime that somebody, if you're working on a car and you're not finishing completely DA haze free with your finish polishing step, a big contributor to that is potentially the amount of abrasive and product in your pad. Blow the pad out, less product, and you might be pretty surprised in what it can do. Now, we end up having to get into a lot of crazy off the wall techniques to get this to finish.
Yeah, and that's what I've always rebelled against. I don't want to do that.
Totally.
I just want to freaking move it around and be done.
Yeah,
Totally.
And to be clear, that's on like 10% of cars, right?
Certainly,
Yeah.
yes.
But you got to be prepared, right?
Yep. So that's kind of, we took the feedback and we know how this works, and that's where 210 comes into play. You throw the stuff on a finished polishing pad and don't even try, and most of the time it works great. It's pretty cool
I
stuff.
don't like that name.
Look, you're running out of options.
You run out of letters in the alphabet. I got it.
This is my life. I'll just add a little bit into, we talked about how with 110, that's an all new SMAT,
Yep.
higher grade. Very much also the case with 210 versus 205. It's not just less of what's in 205 in terms of the abrasive.
Yeah.
You also notice, Eagle Eyes, that's a 3.5, and that's a 4 on the cut, right? So we went a tick down on that. Now, the reason is, I built 110, 210 to be a system. Very much, I wanted it to be a two-step. Where people are using 3, you can go to 2. Since the 110 is now capable, because of those better abrasives, of finishing out at a higher level, you need less cut to clean that up, right? So this, for your best results with 210, and we literally say it on the bottle, we've not done that before, they reference each other. And that's not marketing nonsense. We've taken lower grade compound and used that, and if you're using a really soft finishing pad with no mechanical ability, it may not in one pass clean up a lower grade compound. But if you're using this after a 110, because of the grade finish that leaves behind, this is perfectly the overlap. Imagine this is your compound. I got to spell here. That's your compound cut. The amount, and then here's your polish over here for your finishing. The overlap is tighter, whereas with 105 and 205, you probably have a 2 or 3 times more overlap. And this is just a little more purpose built as a true system. And also, we were working with some OEMs that are renowned for their incredibly fresh, soft black paint. And they literally could not get these cars to finish out because they're working on them within 48 hours of manufacturing. And because of the panels they're on, there's all these different things, they're not force curing them the same way that other cars are being force cured. So this was a special request answer, and that drove a lot of it. So we were testing this on these fresh black paints, and where 205, even where you use the perfect technique and you get it so that it's haze free, we'd side by side 210, and I kid you not, we'd have a secretary or somebody who's not a paint person walk out and say, look at that and look at that, which one looks better? Everyone would say the 210 looks darker, deeper, and glossier. And that's against a perfectly finished out 205. That's how much next level the finishing capability is once you dial that stuff in.
So now the natural tendency of people that live life on specs.
Yeah.
There's lots of people that live life, well, the specs are better. the Epson $500
Yeah.
projector specs were better than the $45,000 whatever.
Right.
I said, well, so now we're talking 3.5 versus 4. People are going to get nutty about that. So let's say we were one-stepping. Are you going to notice a difference between, let's say you were going to do a single step on like a medium foam pad.
Yeah.
Are you going to notice a difference in cut?
Yeah.
You might, yeah.
Yeah.
So 205 might still need a place in someone's cabinet.
Sure, yeah. No, I
Oh, yeah.
definitely keep 205 around. The one stepping with 205 is a phenomenal option, right? But that said, I've also had people just kick it up a notch on a little bit more aggressive foam with the 210 and still be able to one step, and it's phenomenal. It really likes firm foam. That's the other thing. These abrasives like a firm, dense, high PPI foam. More so than a really soft, elastic foam. Particularly, if you're usually working on a 15 or a 21 throw, that action, if you've got a really soft foam, think about it, it's like trying to keep up. It's like literally getting tugged in all these different
almost
directions.
always finish better on almost all paints. I always find it finishes better with a more dense.
Dense
what
but
they
soft.
would call, what most would call a polishing foam rather than
Yes.
finishing foam.
Yeah.
So like a Rupes white or
Right.
your black.
Right.
Very few people. I mean, I almost never use this type of pad. I'm always end up using
polishing.
Yeah.
There's a few cases where those outlier crazy soft
Sure,
paints,
certainly.
or you'll take it to a white instead of the yellow
Yeah.
Lopez, or you'll take it to the black instead of
Or
the
it's sometimes find the opposite. The harder paint
Yeah.
does better with a soft pad, and then it just does. There's no
Detailing.
formula.
Yeah, welcome to detailing, right?
Yeah.
And then I've never even heard of 305, so I don't even know what that is.
This is more for a body shop in fresh paint. It's a breathable, silicone-free protection for fresh paint. That's all it is. It's not something you'd probably ever use.
As a detailer, there's not a whole lot of purpose for
No.
it, but
But
it's a great option to literally paint a car, kick it out, and the same day be able to give it a level of protection that previously wasn't possible.
because you don't want to seal or wax in fresh paint because you want to let it breathe and
Unless-
cure and gas. Yeah.
Unless it's been properly, force cured.
Yeah, which your A level shops have a lot to will do that, but so if somebody ever does run into that where they have to get something resprayed, this is an option to protect it while still allowing it to cure.
Most body shops will say they don't use silicone or don't have wax in their shops,
Right,
and they
right.
do. You
Yeah.
go back, one guy's got it in the back of his cabinet hiding when he needs to fill something in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And creates, and then he sees some other guy getting fish eyes, and he's like, "Oh, better hide that bottle."
Wasn't me.
You want to take a break and eat?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
So this is one of the things that confuses me, right? So it only confuses me because I haven't dug into it. So one of my superpowers is to get a catalog for everything and then just kind of sift through and figure out what each product is. So I'm looking at this saying, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's no number 8. So
And they
where's
don't go
number
really
8?
in order because 3 is lower than 2, which is 1 is the higher
So
cutting.
what's the number thing all about? You
It
got
was more
39,
part. No, it's just part
34.
numbers. It literally was just part numbers. So it didn't go in any chronological order to make sense. So it's not like a 3-step process. Here's 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Because these were created before really a 3-step process
Okay.
was something that consumers were going for. So, for us, when you take a look at the history with Barry Meguiar and the family selling the products, show car glaze was a staple. When you wanted to put something on your lacquer paint or on your enamel, whatever it was, to make it shine and give it a little bit, fill in some defects, number 7 was your go-to. And that still is, a good seller in the market today. You'll find that
It's
in
a
paint
big selling
shops.
point. Does not dry white.
Yeah.
That was
true.
a big deal back
Yeah,
then.
but as technology has changed, polishes have become a lot easier to use. This, like a lot of carnival waxes, can be a challenge to use compared to today's technology.
So M0716, M0616.
Yeah.
So they're drawing the 7 from the second number, I guess.
Right. So,
So
this
these are
people would
part
call it
numbers.
MO7 or M7. Yeah.
And then there's 4.
Yeah.
So these were all designed for hand application.
It depends. So you can use machine fine cut, and these were also created before DA polishers were really popular.
Mm-hmm.
So medium cut cleaner, fine cut cleaner, all those are going to be
So why do we still have them?
because we still have diehard consumers that love them and swear by them, and that's what they've used, and that's what they can trust. With they're going to get the same formulation.
I do see that all the time where you have, it happens a lot in the body shop world where you have guys who've been doing it for 25 or 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they come at me all the time on YouTube saying, you idiot, you know, I'm doing this process, whatever
Mm-hmm.
it is. Usually it's ancient technology, and if they saw what was available today, but I get it. So they're probably a bigger audience for this than there is for 210.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, and in some cases, when you go into a shop or somebody who's been doing it forever, he might be his own blender. He might be mixing some 7 with some 4, or you know what I mean. Like, there's plenty of guys that are kind of their own bathtub blenders when it comes to mixing some Meguiar's products. But for the most part, they've found something that they've trusted 20, 30 years ago and have stuck with it. Now, paint technology has changed. And so their results may be changing as paint technologies change, which is going to require them to kind of increase their toolbox with newer products. But with older vehicles, and there's still plenty of older vehicles with older paint out there, that these are going to work perfectly fine on.
So we have in Meguiar Glaze, we have soap and quick detailer. So is there redundancy? Is this the same thing as the detailer line?
So that's a great question. So one thing we've really prided ourselves on is that these formulations are going to be different. What you're going to find because originally we only sold these to the body shop and to professional distribution. That's since changed probably in the last 5 to 10 years, but historically Meguiar Glaze has only been available through paint and body distribution. So they needed to have an answer to the entire line. They needed to have a soap, they needed to have a degreaser, they needed to have different things. So there might be some crossover.
So a lot of this stuff is sold through trucks and door-to-door type.
Through National Oaks and paint, body, and equipment, and that kind of Sherwin-Williams, Finish Master, things like that.
How do you I mean, you've got 72 different options. How do these guys keep it straight?
Well, you know, consumers know. They know 40. They know when they're coming in for vinyl and rubber. I mean, it might feel overwhelming where you're at, but because these have been launched in the market over a 30-year period, consumers know.
So,
the diehards.
so in 1987, 84 came out, and this was the deal. And then that for 6 years, this was I'm using this as an example, but this was the deal. I get it. Okay.
Right, but it's kind of like going to a mechanic's toolbox, right? And you pull it out, and there's so many sockets and wrenches, and it might look like it's all, you know, very similar sizes, but they all have very different uses. You might use, now mind, some of this has been sitting on the shelf for a while, but so for us, these are our different tools in the toolbox, and really when sales still justify, so the fact that these are still around will tell you that sales still justify having these out in the marketplace.
Otherwise, they would have gotten cut.
Right. So we have a lot of consumers that are using these, and so it's really about having a huge offering to different market and to different customers. So the Meguiar Glaze, even though we have plenty of consumers that use it and have taught themselves or been taught how to use the professional products, this is really still catering to the heavy user in the body shop.
So this isn't something like, there's a reason why the professional detailing world is using some of the more modern stuff. Like, what I'm worried about is there's something in here that's like, that's gotten left behind that shouldn't have been.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, possibly. I wouldn't say it's left behind because it's still there, but detailers are much more, who we're catering to with this brand is much more tech savvy. They're much more involved. They're much more evolved as far as what chemistry is available.
Yeah.
So this is catered to a consumer that's very much in the know and it's very, very specific. Where this kind of can cater to a little bit.
Well, I've seen it.
Broader.
I mean, these guys. Imagine if you own a body shop or you're like the GM for a body shop making the decision on what the guys are using. Those guys work like 14 hours a day. It's not like they're sitting around saying, I'd like to try some new glaze.
Right.
They don't have time to do that.
No.
So I can see how they could get stuck in hey, this works, tried and true. I don't have time to go and try some new system.
Yeah, and really what happens is people like myself and 3M and whoever in the body shops, we go in and we try and educate them.
Yeah.
But even if you give them a 30-minute, kind of deal and you show them how to use it, a lot of times they're like, okay, great, this looks good. you walk away, they're gonna grab what they're used to and pull that off
Well,
the shelf.
we got to get this. We just wasted 30 minutes. Now we're gonna have a 14 and a half hour day. So let's go back.
That's how they
back
feel
to
in some
the
cases.
plant. I get it.
Yeah.
I'd also keep in mind too, I wouldn't look at it as like Mirror Glaze's old stuff. Obviously 110, 210 brand new. There's other products that are brand new in it. And internationally we sell coatings in the Mirror Glaze line. This is mostly aimed at collision and refinishing. That is, whereas detailer is almost exclusively going to be for reconditioning and detailing, right?
Yeah.
But what am I missing? What in this line should I be using that I'm missing out on? That's what I wake up in the middle of the night.
There's some
wondering.
examples of that.
We were talking about
I
final inspection.
regularly
Yeah.
use.
Kilmer made me
final
buy like
inspection,
5
yeah.
bottles of this. It's sitting on my shelf. I'm like, what do I do with this crap?
It's-
I love it. I
yeah.
prime my pads with it. I get all the crap that gets stuck in the door jams with it. I think number 39 for me is a sleeper. That one, I can
40,
get.
yeah.
You want to talk about getting all the white and the gray out of trim on a vehicle, and then and then finishing it with this. These for any type of vinyl tops with like a limo. I've done plenty of white
I even
limo
use that on
vinyl roofs.
tires.
Oh my gosh.
39 because it's ready to use in
So
the bottle.
good.
It's a foaming trigger. I'll use that on tires. 40 is extremely popular. Kind of a hidden
Do
secret
you have
for
a slide
tires.
with all of this stuff?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
I want to go through. I want to go
Okay.
start to finish, the whole thing. And I want the
I-
take on what is this supposed to be for.
I have every single pro item
Okay.
on a slide.
I want
so we'll
that.
do it if you want to do it.
1, 2, okay, so I know all that stuff. We talked about all the new stuff.
And you'll also find these 16 ounce, the ones that are kind of the longer standing ones, are going to be in 16s and 32s.
Yeah.
Newer products, or products that are a little more heavily used are going to be in your 32s and gallons.
Yeah.
There are some of these that are in gallons, but really the ones I would send you if you look at these triggers would definitely be ones to test out.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you feel about polymer sealants, but 21 by far is one of our best selling 16 ounce products up here as well. That's been one of those that when the synthetic sealant craze hit and we launched that, it's definitely had that staying power. We haven't lost a lot of that sealant business with those. So
It's not like we just start from scratch. We have 118 years of experience, right? So
Yeah.
if we make a new spray wax, even if it's version 1 of that product name or number, we're obviously using what we've learned over the course of a century plus,
yeah,
right?
like you'll have, this is synthetic sealant 2.0. We reformulated that. Felt we could do better, because sealants came out and they were all the rage and we launched it. We're like, we can do better, and we tweaked it a little bit. And a lot of what you're going to find in our consumer line, the pros will turn their nose up. They're like, I don't want what's in the consumer line. But much of what end users can find has derived from years of making these two brands what they are. And so you can benefit as a consumer going to your shelf, Walmart, AutoZone Advance, Amazon, your website, you know what I mean, the Obsessed Garage. You can come there and find these items which have been derived, your ultimate compound, ultimate polish, the quick waxes, all wheel cleaners. These are all things that we've taken from the professional market, what has worked, what hasn't, and turned it into a consumer friendly product so everybody can use it and feel safe using it. So, clay. I mean, yes, if you take 5 minutes and watch a video on clay, it's not as intimidating as when you take it out of the package the first time. Like, what am I supposed to do with a silly putty and some liquid? But it's, for me, it's one of my favorite products. I can feel the difference. You can see the difference when you wax the car after you've clayed it, and it's not intimidating. Headlight restoration, that can be intimidating when you have to pick up a tool. Even if it is a drill, which most people feel pretty comfortable, putting a drill on your car is uncomfortable for most consumers. So how do we make them feel better about it? By creating a kit that walks them through that, creating videos, and all that is deriving from the professional side and kind of making it consumer friendly.
I'm going to bring back Hot Shine Tire Spray. I'm going to bring this back.
Yeah?
No, I'm just...
It never went away. That's the good thing. That's
Oh,
still
yeah.
in our company. That's one of our
I'm going to
number
bring it
2
back
selling
to
items.
the detail world. Everybody wants some shiny tires.
They do want shiny tires.
All right, you want to
Let's do it.
keep digging in?
Let's do it.
I want to
Thank
know
you,
1
Stephanie.
through 90.
Okay.
Ready, go.
What does it stop at?
Well, marine is mixed in there too. So you see the numbers in marine. So there's a chunk of like the 40s, 50s, and 90s that hit marine as well.
Oh, there's a 1 4. Okay. Oh shoot, yeah.
I like
so
to,
we're going to
you
the
know,
one.
I'll use G17748, and this is 1016, and G17216, and G14422, G8224, G12024. I have a part number king around here.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Except for supply chain.
I used to memorize all the monster cable SKUs were 16-digit SKUs.
All right, so a lot of products, a few more things to go through within the Pro line. We were just talking about number 34, final inspection. I mean, this for us is in our quick detailer category. The primary intention is you can spray the product on a panel with light contamination. This is going to allow you to safely remove that light dust and light contamination. But some of the things, other benefits of this is that this leaves behind, nothing on the paint. It's not going to interfere with any of your compounding process. So for me and a lot of detailers, what they'll do, if you're working on a car, let's say you start at one end of the car and you have it all perfectly clean, and then by the time you get to the end of the car, there potentially could be some light dust on there. This is a great product to spray that on there and completely ensure that there's no dust on that panel before you put the machine onto the paint to interfere with that.
So do you find that as a clay lube, this would leave less residue behind? Like less,
this-
you clay in a
yeah.
car and it looks all residue-y from your clay lube drying on the car.
We don't have too much of an issue with that, but if that were to occur, this doesn't have the silicone that is in like a last touch spray detailer that we talked about earlier, which that can benefit for gloss. It's a dual purpose for the last touch. It gives.
So why did Kilmer
Yeah.
make me buy this stuff?
It's a must have. I mean,
It's one of our products that you can use it on so many different things. Like Prime Pad, you can get dried product out with it. You can technically use it on the interior of the paint or of the car, just to wipe things down like you would a generic interior detail. I mean, it's your multifaceted, multi-use lubricant that you could keep around a body shop, a detail shop, a garage, and use it on pretty much anything.
I think Kilmer probably had you. I would imagine if he were to use this, it will assist you in getting off dried compound residue. It will assist you in getting off compound dust. If you run into dust, it can assist you in ensuring that the panel is completely.
I think I bought 4
Right,
bottles
yeah.
of it. I did throw it all away though, so I'll have to buy some more.
It's all. I mean,
It didn't make the cut.
If
Like, if
you-
I don't use something for 2 months, then I throw it away.
if you're going to use this and expecting it to give you like amazing gloss or
No,
protection,
that's
it's
what I
not.
like. I like the fact that it doesn't do any of that.
Yeah, that's we have other spray detailers and waterless wax washes and spray waxes
Fancy
that are
stuff.
for that. Yeah. So again, just more
Final inspection.
strategic. Yep. Fine. This has been out, my goodness, decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's popular for body shops too, again, because you could use that to clay in a body shop and not have to worry about a silicone contamination.
Yeah.
A lot of body shops will use this like when they, they're going to do the final delivery. They can wipe the panel down. And I mean, I literally saw a guy use it on TV the other day on that garage rehab show. He was, dealing with that body shop and he had it in his hand to wipe the Richard Rollins Ferrari down. He was wiping the panel down. It's kind of that final touch. So these have been around for a long time as well. There is kind of a little bit of an insider secret. I've turned a lot of people on to these and they're just great products. Both ready to use. 16 ounce heavy duty vinyl cleaner. This is going to be similar to an APC but more designed specifically for vinyl, rubber, and colored plastic. So this is great for exterior, cleaning tires, cleaning any type of vinyl, like a vinyl top, interior door panels or dash if they're made of colored, your typical colored plastic. Really great. A lot of people will use this for removing dried wax on exterior rubber trim.
So
Yeah.
this takes it off?
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
I usually
bit of
a little brush, like a vinyl brush, and just agitate it.
Yeah.
I didn't think that product existed.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's awesome.
You've
Yeah.
had it here for 45 years and no one knows about it.
We're drinking it over here.
People know, just not you.
Oh.
Now you do.
I put it
I
on
like
your list
that.
to send you a case.
All right.
Number 40, vinyl and rubber cleaner and conditioner, and this is just lot of really kind of true conditioning ability to kind of assist in preserving the actual material.
So this will leave something behind.
Yeah.
The cleaner is a cleaner. This is a
This is
Cleaner.
primarily a conditioner
Yeah.
with mild cleaning, but that mild cleaning comes into play. It's handy quite a bit.
so maintenance versus
Heavy duty. Yeah.
full on.
But one of the big things about this is it's a stock, low sheen, original appearance.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people prefer, like car shows. We have a couple trucks that go all over the U.S. I mean, if somebody comes up and they want, a lot of hot rod and classic guys, or even me, on a newer car, if you want that sort of stock, low sheen, original appearance, this is our solution for that. It's water-based. It's very easy to use.
So you would use this in lieu of like an interior cleaner,
on
like in your dash,
Yeah.
your steering wheel.
I think that this would this is more of your conditioner that you would use maybe every 6 weeks or so for interior, if you prefer to have a conditioned dash and door panel. Different materials will accept that better than others.
To try that.
And then you would maybe complement this with like your quick interior detailer cleaner. Just for kind of your light, because the QID is good for interior, is way quicker and easier for light dust, as opposed to this has got some richness and some big, conditioning ability.
So a lot of people are going to use that almost more, think more of it as like a dressing or a protectant. You could use on tires. I like that a lot on tires. So yes, you can clean, but that would be, to Nick's point, kind of like maintenance type cleaning, where if you've got some light dirt, smudge, whatever, your microfiber combined with that, it does have a pH to it that's meant to clean, that sort of thing. You'll get some mild cleaning, but there's a reason you've got 39 and 40. For the heavy duty cleaning, you'd want to use 39 first. This is to kind of clean that up and then leave it protected and conditioned. Really the key here is to keep that material original-like and keep it from degrading over time.
Yeah, if you're gonna use 39, you typically depend on, especially if it's being exposed to the sun, follow up on 40. With
Well, I'm
40,
thinking about like Porsche moldings. Like the whole bottom of a 911 is black porous plastic.
Yep.
And inevitably you hit it with a polisher. If you put tape this far down, you're going to hit it there. If you put it that far, it doesn't matter how much tape you put. Unless you tape the whole thing, you're always going to hit it. And then you end up with polish and your pencil eraser and peanut butter and all kinds of weird crap.
Yeah.
So you're telling me this will work.
Yeah.
And then I would, and I'd coat it usually with some fancy, either, I'd usually just use whatever coating I'm putting on the paint.
For rubber,
For
Trim?
plastic, plastic.
Textured
like a black plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, we have other options which are more longer lasting for exterior rubber or plastic. This is very quick and easy to use. Not the longest lasting,
Got it.
but yeah, quick and easy to use. So, yep.
And then we'll
So this would be, if you got an email from a diehard Meguiar's person, they'd say, hey, do you sell 40? That's what you would get.
Yeah.
So this is where that would take.
Okay. Mirror glaze line, waxes, and sealants. So we use wax. Wax serves as your sacrificial barrier against elements of the environment, to protect the paint and protect against the sun. Gives you that nice water beading effect, makes washing and maintenance easier. So within mirror glaze, we have a few options within that. let's see, 3 of these are cleaner waxes, which we talked about earlier. We know what a cleaner wax is. It's doing some mild cleaning, sometimes aggressive cleaning, and polish and protection in one step. M06 cleaner wax has been around literally probably for decades. Hand orbital DA, very mild cleaning, carnauba-based protection. Number 20 polymer sealant, very extremely mild cleaning as well, but it actually has a synthetic polymer protection package as opposed to carnauba-based. 21 synthetic sealant 2.0 within the Pro line is our most premium dedicated synthetic protectant sealant that we offer. No cleaning ability. Hand or orbital or DA applied. Apply a thin coat to the entire vehicle, let it completely fully dry. Comes back, easily wipe it off with a microfiber towel. Use some regular, sealants that you use those from time to time, I believe. And then, so this one still very popular today. M26 high-tech yellow wax, another classic. This is a great premium carnauba-based wax, 16-ounce gallon paste version. So, car washes. I mean, if they're offering, or detailers, this is your kind of more standard tier. Great protection, great value.
So when you say cleaner means there's an abrasive or some sort of polish inside there. So it's a one-step type.
Yep.
Walk away.
Yep.
And then what about like those 21 and 26? Do those play together? Like, could you put 21 down and then top it with 26?
You totally could. And especially when I was working the phones, we would have people that would call them. They would try all sorts of crazy combinations, especially laying down a sealant and then topping with carnauba and trying to get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
It's okay to do that. We don't necessarily ever direct people to do that. We would prefer and instruct to do 2 coats of one product, typically, allowing it to cure 12 hours between each coat, so everything could fully set up. Because wax, anything beyond 2 coats, it's not really of much value, because wax is not going to bond and layer to itself very well. And then M66 quick detailer is actually not a spray detailer. It sounds like it. That is actually a cleaner wax as well. So that you would consider mild to medium correction ability. It's before we had D166 ultra polishing wax, and before we had paint reconditioning cream. I mean, this is when people were in those situations where they needed a cleaner wax. This was our go-to.
Go-to bulk.
Go-to
6
bulk.
only goes
Yep.
up to 32 ounce or 64 ounce.
That's a favorite for outdoor car washes and mobile detailers because it works extremely well in high heat direct sun. Obviously, that's not something you want to ever do. It's not something we suggest doing, but the reality is there's some of these guys who don't have a choice, and it's a product that the way that it's formulated, it's able to sustain a little bit higher heat load on the surface than others that might dry out too much. It's very easy on off. This is, you want to talk about version, you're on version 66. This stuff's been around for a while and has been cleaned up over time and is a very solid staple.
It also does well in different humidity levels too. Like it does well in Arizona and it'll do well in Florida, which you want to find in a product because a lot of them don't do that.
This polymer sealing also comes in a half gallon. This, even in recent, present day, is for large, really big projects. Like we've used this on some World War II planes with Joe Fernandez when we would do that. I know that a lot of people will use this on RVs in motorhomes because it's airplanes. It's an extremely easy to use, but mild cleaning and durable protection.
Well, it's going to be slightly cheaper than M21, and they're not worried about the depth and gloss as much as they are protection at that point. They want that protection to last as long as they can.
Yeah, but as far as cleaner waxes, what our recommendation now for the latest and greatest technology would be the D166. ultra polishing wax. You can alter the amount of cut you would like to get out of the product based on how you're applying it in the pad, but you're going to get more premium durability because it's utilizing more recent technology, and then the wipe off is insanely easy of that particular product. Okay, so Stephanie talked with you a little bit about these already. These are those older style.
I want them to be in chronological order so bad you have no idea.
No, we know. Believe me, we do too.
I've had to
It'd be a
answer
much better story.
that question probably hundreds of times. Like, what does the part number mean? They don't relate to any characteristic of the product or any step. It's because years and it just we got ourselves into that. But now you talk with guys that are familiar with them and be like, oh, well, you grabbed the number 34. I need some 40 for this, 105, 205, 21.
Yeah.
It's the show car glaze. We covered this pretty much already, but show car glaze, even to this day, if you have a single stage paint, I mean, this is what this product is. Pure polish, no cleaning ability. Older single stage paints really respond well to products that have still standing in the light.
They were developed when lacquers and enamels were popular.
Just oils and conditioners
So help me with this. So a glaze. What the heck is a glaze?
Oh,
it fills.
Yeah.
I understand what it does.
So
but what is the chemical difference between a glaze and a wax?
well,
What do they put in it?
Your question should be the difference between a glaze and a polish, actually. And there is really no difference. Actually, it's just glaze is another word for polish. And at least when it comes to our products, here's the thing. The word polish, what does that mean to the world compared to us? Like, put a polish on it, or people ask us, what's your best polish? Well, I already probably know they mean wax. A polish to us is not protection.
Right.
We have two different types of polishes. We have pure polishes, which are non-abrasive, no cleaning. And then we have cleaner polishes. These are the kind of categories which we have. Cleaner polishes have mild cleaning ability to address defects, light swirls, fine scratches. And then we have finishing polish is essentially another word for a cleaner polish that we use.
So cleaning is prior to decon, so you're cleaning the surface, or when we say cleaner wax, we're talking about correction.
Yep.
Well,
I mean correction, minor correction.
Mild.
But, right.
Mild abrasive. When we say a cleaner
But see, I've always
polish,
thought of glaze, when you apply glaze, you apply filler.
and that's agree. And that's what the maybe industry, when you hear the word glaze, there are products out there that are designed to fill. We don't have any products that are designed to fill.
But the byproduct of anything using mineral oil is
Yeah.
filled to some extent.
Yeah.
That eventually will
But
dissipate.
the show car glaze is not necessarily designed to fill. It's just happens to do that. Like we're not telling you put this on your swirled up car. We're telling you prep your car and remove the defects permanently, and then this can be applied to enhance the gloss even further. But again, we're talking about older style products, so this is not as used as often, at least within like your space of and pro
A
detailers.
2014 BMW that's got it, right?
Yeah. So
You would find this in a body shop where they got it good enough with high-speed rotary buffing, finished it out far enough. They might have some defects left in it. They might put show car glaze on it to finish it. They might fill in some stuff before they send it out, but that would be the final step before they give it to a consumer to put a polish on it. Because they can't it's too early to put a wax on the non-cured paint.
correct. Good point. Before we had the 305 ultra durable finishing glaze, this is an option for fresh paint. Machine glaze is basically show car glaze with a little bit of abrasive in there to help refine and remove any of those final swirls that may be left behind from a rotary buffing process.
So what the pure polish?
Yep.
So non-abrasive. What the heck is non-abrasive polish?
It's going to be
You,
oils
you
and
just
you-
explained that to me.
So, to get back to your earlier question, for us, we call pure polish would be what most folks would think of as a glaze, which is it's oils, it's nutrients, it's things that, particularly for older paints, that you're not
Where
covered in clear coat.
oxidation was a big issue, and so you're
Yeah, but it's gonna restore color and luster and things that have come out of the paint in time.
yeah.
That is a pure polish for us, which is show car glaze is a pure polish, right?
Yeah, but
Now-
for you, that's you guys set the darn standard. So whatever Meguiar says, that's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. But
We'd like to think that.
then you
but
go to the
that's-
next step, a polish, and not a pure polish, but a polish or a cleaner polish or these other finishing polish. There's different versions. That's where you start adding in other stuff for other jobs. Pure polish is to us more about kind of think of it, it's overly simplified, but as putting oils back into the paint.
Got it.
Which is why MO7 is not a product that makes sense for your new car
For
with
clear
the clear
coat,
coat.
yeah.
It's just not. But that's why you'll have these old school guys with the old school paint jobs who still swear by it because it's phenomenal for what it was designed for,
Yeah.
right?
And it
still
doesn't have any,
works
no
on-
wax and no cleaning.
It still works on clear coats, but there's just newer options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Swirl remover, this is what we consider in that cleaner polish category. Mild abrasive for light swirls, and then added oils for additional gloss.
And another thing I would add in there is, you were asking like, why in the world do you keep so many products? Yes, part of it is simply people are still asking for them, but even though most new cars are clear coated and all that, there are still some vehicles out there that are lacquered and enameled. These products do work exceptionally well on what they were designed for, right? Imagine that. So there is definitely a purpose for this. This is that specialty socket, for that specific situation. And there are people that are still working on classic vehicles. They're doing proper Concours, style restorations where they're doing it with old school paints. You want to use these products that are made for that material. It's a very different material than a modern paint.
So I'm going to give you, this is my perspective, or my perception, I should say, of this. So it seems to me, my perception is incorrect. I've always thought of diminishing polishes as state-of-the-art. I'm backwards, aren't I?
You are very
So diminishing polishes are from 1972.
right, or earlier.
Non-diminishing
Yeah.
polishes would be more state-of-the-art.
Yes.
Shoot, I've had that backwards forever.
Yep.
It's all right.
That's why you're here.
And my guess is other people probably do too.
No,
So I'm thinking, man, because it's kind of come back around where companies are now marketing, well, this is diminishing abrasive, so this is superior. Well,
'Cause
it
Meguiar-
may or may not be superior, but it's
Well-
not new.
Well, there's a place for diminishing abrasives, and there's
Sure.
a place for, the SMAP, where there's an opportunity for both to exist.
Yeah.
and this is why, like, when we do our Saturday Detailing 101 class, we really, at the end of that class, you should be able to look at any manufacturer's product and kind of read between the lines as far as what exactly that product is. Is it a compound, a cleaner polish, a pure polish, a Carnauba-based wax, a synthetic-based sealant, or a cleaner wax? And a few others. But those are kind of the main.
Well, right, and
Yeah.
the pure polish, the cleaner, like this stuff is kind of, in modern terms, not as applicable. I mean, we just don't use them anymore. We
I don't know. We sell a lot of ultimate polish. People still want a 3-step process. They still want ultimate compound,
Mhm.
ultimate polish, ultimate wax. They still like a 3-step
3 steps is better than 2.
process.
Not in my world, but some people's
Depends on your
world.
perspective, but yeah. Depends where you're going for it.
And cleaner polishes are similar to finishing polishes, like 205 or 210. That terminology and the design of the product.
Right.
And
Well, a lot of them were designed to do by hand, right? I mean, a
a
lot of
lot of these
yeah.
older ones were,
Yeah.
or hand or rotary actually,
Yeah.
primarily. But cleaner polishes, aka finishing polishes, serve two purposes really. You can use it on its own to remove light swirls or light defects, or you can use it as a follow-up to a compound step to further refine the paint and finish polish the paint.
Right, and skip the need to add a last step. Like to add a protection, that is your protection.
You would still protect after after a finishing polish. Yeah, anything that says polish for us is not going to be protection.
Got it.
Believe me, we live it, and
But cleaner wax would lead protection.
yes,
Because that's like mixing wax simply
Right, that's why I
and
think.
polish
yeah,
together,
Yeah,
right?
okay, good. I'm
We're
on.
on
it's, I believe me,
I'm
it's
still here.
okay. Again, just like we were talking, some
The 85, 82,
Yep.
83.
before 105 and before Smat Abrasive, this was the go-to if you are removing sanding marks, you're using a rotary, if you're a detailer or a body shop. 85 diamond cut compound and was the go-to, and even to this day, I mean, it's, like Stephanie was talking about, and that what we've been talking about, people find something they like, they figure out the process that works, and they still use it to this.
So at one point, this was the
Yeah.
deal. Right.
Yep.
It was it. You'd find that in most cabinets.
But it still works.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's not going to cut as much as the newer compounds. It's not going to finish as well. It's not going to have as premium of a feel. When you're buffing, it's not probably wipe off, but I mean, think of all the other internationally as well. This is very popular for us internationally when you're talking even way different markets than what we deal with here in the
yeah,
U.S.
places that don't have TVs or internet.
Not necessarily bad.
Well,
Well,
places-
I
I'm
used to-
joking,
Yeah.
people.
No, but what I was gonna say is, a lot of times body shops wouldn't finish out that far. When you talk about sanding now, they're finding, it's a lot easier. If I sand out to 2,500, I can spend a lot less time buffing, and it just depends. So as technology has changed for the sandpaper industry, it's changed in relation to what the finishing has been. So the compounds have changed, the polishes have changed. So, it's moved away from maybe a diminishing abrasive to something that's more of the super micro abrasive.
And let's be honest, as far as body shops goes, you have what we call your A level, your B level, and your C level. There's a lot more B and C level body shops out there
Local shops, yeah.
that are not going to spend $100+ a gallon on a compound.
Mhm.
That are blowing through product, that are probably using way too much product, and so that's kind of the story on diamond cut.
So these three would work in conjunction based on aggression.
Yeah.
All diminishing earlier iterations at one point was kind of the deal.
When I started detailing, I was using 82, the results of 80, which we don't have here in the US now, but 80 and 83 were like my 1-2 combo for a lot of cars doing correction.
On a D, even on a DA.
Yeah, and then I was using 82 on a rotary.
I literally saw a post. I mean, this is still. I literally saw a post of a guy the other day where the DA used 83, and the car looked awesome. Like medium level correction ability, great ability to enhance gloss. Even though there's much newer products that he would probably
Like
be
more.
ecstatic at and like more. These things they're still out there, and one guy uses it, tells his buddy that it works, and that's how it kind of works. So this is again that category of cleaner polishes, abrasive, and the polishing oils, similar to this as well, just less aggressive, much less aggressive. These were primarily rotary products, but we also sort of approved for DA as well. Still to this day, if a shop doesn't want to spend the money on a 205 or a 210, especially if it's not like a darker colored vehicle, swirl-free polish is still applicable for those situations.
So like in a Harbor Freight, right, where you're gonna, customers will go in and buy an economical buffer, they'll buy an economical pad, they'll pick up 83. And they will still get good results, right? For a DIY guy or a guy that's trying to, do it on the side, that would be something that they would pick up at Harbor Freight.
Sound good? Questions?
Keep going. I'm good. Got them all in there.
And that's it. That's it. We did cover it.
No, there's more over there, aren't there?
That's it. The only one that's
I
not
saw
on there.
84.
Okay. The
You're
only
cheating, Nick.
84 is 84 is discontinued.
Yeah.
What's that solo?
84 no more.
I see some solo.
You're right. Yeah.
He's calling
Marcus,
you. He's
yeah.
calling you on your
Solo.
what?
So Solo was
Do we have an
one-
extra hour for solo?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Solo is a very interesting product. You're actually going to see there's people right now launching products that are similarly
Solo-inspired.
named and themed. It was originally part of a system where there were specific pads, both foam and wool, and it was meant to be one juice, but did both your compounding and your polishing, and you would just change your pad to change the cut level and the finish level. I loved using it. That was also something that in my early years of detailing. I used a lot of 86 on rotary, and I liked it as kind of like, I would use it to one step on a yellow pad on a rotary, and which, you know, again, detail, experimenting, whatever. It finishes really, really well, but also has a good amount of cut. But if you go throw it on like the heavy cut wool, which is the second one up with the mix of the white and the burgundy, which was part of the original system, that'll absolutely pull out sandy marks on
I missed the
rotary.
light cut wool. That light cut wool was.
Yeah, there was
A yellow wool.
These were the only products that were not in the PowerPoint, so we can cover them if you want to. I just didn't even think we had the amount of time. These are our rotary pads. These are so.
The plastic system.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. We've actually been making plastic specific products since the 60s, I believe. So if you're talking any sort of hard or even soft, uncoated clear plastic, then number 17 is your cleaner, very mild, abrasive cleaning ability for light defects. The polish is recommended to be applied as a follow-up to the cleaner to provide optimum clarity of the clear plastic. And then the 18 is the for dust and fingerprints. It allows you to maintain the sensitive clear plastic surface safely. This is going to allow you to get the dust and fingerprints off without scratching it, along with a quality cotton or microfiber towel. I say cotton because these have been around that long before microfiber. We still get calls on it today. People, using these products, convertible top windows, speedometer gauges, marine and RV applications, airplane applications, for different clear plastic and polycarbonate windows. The 62 car wash, we talked a little bit about that. This is going to be similar to like your Shampoo Plus in the detailer line, that it has the conditioning ability in there, which gives you that high lubricity and helps to reduce scratching. Again, like Stephanie said earlier when you were talking through that, this completes that, having that offering within the Mirror Glaze line. And then our clay bars. In the Pro line, we also have the Smooth Surface Clay Kit, but this is our options in the Pro Mirror Glaze line. We offer a mild clay. This is your traditional clay that's in there, of course, and then your aggressive. So the aggressive clay will pretty commonly haze paint, especially if it's a darker colored. So it's always going to be recommended to follow with a machine process afterwards.
Yeah, I don't ever really find the need for an aggressive clay. But then again, I'm dealing with cleaner, nicer.
if you're dealing with like
Yeah.
serious, industrial fallout, serious overspray, like nasty
like a
jobs.
car, you're restoring a junkyard car.
Yeah, I don't get the feeling with your tendencies in your cars that you're going to have that type of contamination on your
Yeah.
vehicles,
But even
So-
then, I always feel like even if it was heavily contaminated, I can just go over it a second time, without
You
having
could,
to really
but
beat the crap out of it.
Imagine being a pro where time is money and they got to bang out, umpteen
Yeah.
cars a day. That's why we have 58,000 different wrenches, right? Is
Yeah.
that they have different priorities.
The Unigrid finishing papers. This is a really unique technology compared to conventional sandpaper. I mean, my goodness, I could not imagine using a conventional sandpaper and trying to sand automotive paint and buff it out. Is
My
just,
God. Yeah.
I can't believe that people, it's, you know, the shops that still
the
do that.
Japanese technology, thinner
The
backing.
Nikken.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been this is, you know, been
Decades.
standard decades. Even this, you can tell the packaging is still really old, but 1,000, 1,200, 2,000, 2,500, and then 3,000 grit. So these are for your hand sanding. We have the 7,200 foam backing as well.
Yeah. What's the So you have a good interface pad? Interface?
for hand sanding?
No, for machine.
We still
These are hand sanding, hand finishing papers.
At one time, we had an option of actual sanding disc for machine sanding. The only ones we still produce is a 6-inch 3,000 grit foam finishing disc is actually what we call it. You've seen how the discs have that foam built into the actual paper, so it can move over
Like
texture.
3M Trizac.
Yeah, and that's essentially why we don't have a lot of those discs, is because it was overlapping with the 3M.
Yeah, it'd be great to
Yeah.
see the 3M stuff come in the Meguiar's name. That would be cool. Like the, like some of the interface pads, like the circle pads.
Yeah, so
You guys could do such a better job marketing. I mean, this stuff is impossible to find.
yeah,
You know.
in a lot of cases where that would be most mass marketed, our teams are going in simultaneously. The Meguiar's and the 3M salespeople are going in selling it together. So you're going to find Trizac, if they're dialing in the Meguiar's compounds, they'll use the Trizac paper or whatnot. So it's, rather than fighting against each other and creating the same item, really 3M is known for their abrasives when it comes to sandpaper, so let them do what they do best. But we hear you, and we tried that for a bit, but unfortunately when you look at the mass volume, shops are going towards 3M because that's what's tried and true. And that's where they, a lot of that's tied into, bulk buying from their distribution. There's a value add for buying their tapes, their sandpaper, their abrasive, all those things from one guy. Yeah. So.
Literally the only thing left is the rotary pads, and I didn't have these out just because I know you're not a big rotary guy, but these are our 5 options within rotary. A couple wool pads, which obviously are used for your heavy compounding.
Are they
Yeah.
a single side, 7-inch backing plate, 8-inch?
This is
7
8.
inch. Okay.
This is 8, and then these 4 are going to be 7. So rotary foam cutting, polishing, and finishing, same colors as the DA specific disc. A foam cutting pad on a rotary is definitely a learned skill to do because there's a lot of heat.
Yeah, heat and grab, yeah.
I mean,
They
a
walk you all over the car.
wool pad is going to cut more than a rotary foam cutting pad, but it's actually, the wool pad will give you less heat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fibers dissipate heat more.
But, rotary, the use of a rotary, we always recommend getting a panel. If you're a major enthusiast or a detailer, it's good, it's less and less needed for detailing, but when you do need it, it's pretty handy.
Okay. So let's do this. Let me we'll grab it on camera. Well, let's just make a line of everything that I want to try. That's like speaking to me.
Let's
And
do
then
it.
We can go out and work on that car.
Yeah, sounds good.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Because what happens when the force pulls you back, your foot naturally comes off the gas. You have to keep your foot to the floor, foot to the floor.